Hi everybody. I think it has been a long time since I did a video. I was checking the archive and yeah, it has been a while. And I thought, as I posted on my Instagram, I thought it was prudent to do one to explain pretty much like the recent exercise that I did on one of the bots where I created this infinite conversation between two bots. Uh, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I want to kind of like give an overview or where do we stand now on Brushstroke AI, but most importantly on the capacity that these LLMs or these artificial intelligence engines have, which I found that quite interesting. And I was having a discussion with someone about it that this particular exercise let me realize something that I think is it could be a game changer down the road. I launched recently under Divide by Zero. I launched a website where you have two AI bots talking against each other on the topic are my notes that I have from my dozen experience at the EMPLA. So the background about the works and so on is only a few notes, so it's primarily limited to the ULIZIG because my emphasis was to give it like a little bit of context, not too much because I was more concerned about on my test with this exercise was the capacity to me to alter the personality of the bots and alter in a way that is like it's like an extra layer that the bot has an intention to it. Because one thing that I can tell the bot that you are this person or you behave like this, and you see that's actually what you see at face value. But what I did with exercise, I wanted to give a bot like a feel, to have an intention, to have this perhaps malice could be a good word. I went to extreme, but because I wanted to see results. You can actually go very subtle and you wouldn't necessarily notice, but I wanted to show to myself and to everybody that you can do this. I wanted to give it that will that you can be, you can have that essence of a persona. So basically, I took two bots and independently I trained the bot to without giving the information and training with the information about the M plus. I trained the bot to with one of the bots. I trained it with a certain of cynicism. So like I want to see how cynical or how sarcastic the bot can be. And the other one, I trained it in a way that it was to constantly contradict one of the other bots. So therefore creating an infinite conversation. And for me, it was very surprising to see how subtle one of the bots, the bot that I trained with cynicism, how subtle it was. Like the choice of words, the moment that he was cracking the pun towards the other bot, I sensed that intention. That I think that's the word that I have to use to make it very clear. But that malice that the bot acquired that character, and I found that super interesting. I think by now it's very clear, and I think if you have been following at least a little bit of the news on artificial intelligence, it's very clear the capacity that these bots have on processing information. So taking your own data and processing it, distilling it, massaging it, and it's pretty much in any format. You can take it in, from databases to text to anything. And at Brushstroke we do pretty much everything now. And but what I liked the most, or what I found most intriguing, was the fact that I can fine tune not only the personality of the bot, but the character of the bot. And that's actually for me was like wow, it could be quite groundbreaking. And one of the things that I have learned over almost close to 2 years now, researching extensively, and also, I mean, not only researching but applying AI science into products, which is what we do in Brushstroke AI, is the fact that these bots are processing data and presenting it in to us in ways that in ways that makes us feel very familiar. I think I would say rather than comfortable, because that even with like you can find it cringy and uncomfortable sometimes. That discomfort, that feel that you feel is a familiar feeling. You need to understand, and I think the reason why this theme is a bit abstract for people to understand or to grasp is because these bots are not people, are just statistical models, are computer models. And for a computer model, an algorithm, like a formula, like a plus b equals c, like that kind of formula, that is statistical formula, to be able to convey that innuendo, that for me was that was groundbreaking, and I think that's the level that these bots are today. And in general terms, that I can tell you, like where do we stand? Where do I see AI right now? And then where do we stand at OpenAI? Where I see AI right now, AI is kind of like a phase two. I do see that is at a level where it's now being applied more practically. Is extending beyond just language or language models. That's kind of like the acronym that you read often, or LLMs, what you read often on the newspaper. So it's expanding beyond semantics, and now it's becoming more practical. So becoming more like an assistant, leveraging from the capacity that has to understand language. So the premise remains large language models, so which is an engine that understands that comprehends what you're saying, like which is a given to us humans. But these bots, this a plus b equals c formula, is now understanding your not what you're saying, but also what you intend to say. And they're using that capacity to get these applied assistants that can actually execute functions and buy you pizza and that kind of stuff, and book your tickets and so on. And I think that is actually where we see, and I think that 2024 is going to be a big massification. We're going to see it's very likely that we're going to see a big launches, a big transformative products. I expect, for example, companies like Apple, that has been really quiet in AI. I expect Apple to come up with some revamped, full assistant Siri, probably by the third quarter of the year. I do know that they have been buying a lot of small AI startups on image, on text, and so on, but they haven't really applied anything. Microsoft certainly is looking into AI hardware besides chips and so on. That CEO actually was quite impressed by that Rabbit R1 product, like the one by Rabbit AI, and I expect them to eventually venture into hardware, like having like a cell phone, like a tablet or some device where you can talk or give instructions, and it will start executing for you like as an assistant. I expect that to be third quarter. I expect this year, by the third quarter, is going to be quite interesting in the world of AI. I think you're going to have all the leading companies from Google. Well, actually, no. Well, Google released its phones is now fully AI powered. Same as Samsung. Samsung is releasing a new phone that is fully AI powered, so it works like an assistant. It's not there yet, but I think it's close enough. I think it's hinting you where things are going. But I expect by the third quarter, as this software comes up and so on, that you're going to have these huge upgrades in terms of operational systems that are fully AI powered. And then what I expect is to see this kind of like a big cycle, this big recycling, especially on hardware. So pretty much you need to buy rebuying all your computers, rebuying all your phones and so on to eventually make them or to upgrade them with the latest technology, especially on chips. Hardware companies are going to start doing this big revamp on hardware that has these special chips that can process everything. So companies from Lenovo in China to Samsung in Korea to HP and Apple in the US and so on all over the world, you're going to see this huge revamp in computer hardware, and that looks quite interesting. And yeah, and us in Brushstroke AI, we continue to do the project. So we're still at a very infant phase. I mean, we are a startup. We have no money, very almost no funding, and I mean the team, the three of us. Yeah, we are three people behind it. Are just working with nails, but we have been doing trying to talk to people, try to understand their needs, and try to solve at least one little problem at the time. So we have some interesting projects coming up that I think project that we're going to become that will have a public exposure. You'll probably see them. There are small solutions, but is becoming like an evidence of what you can do with AI. And so far, what the biggest demand that I see commercially, like public facing, because I think when it comes to AI, there are two branches. There's one about internal data management, which is so you give like your SQL database, and then AI is processing that, and that is one front end, but that is closed doors. You don't necessarily see much of that in the public. But the outward facing, the public facing, is primarily is going to be on a persona. So you can let's call it personas on chatbots or search engines that have this personal feel uh, that can interact with people in languages, in text, and so on. And this is most of the public exercises that I've shown on my bots. The one that you can talk about M Plus Museum, and now you can see two bots going at each other, very grumpy. I do expect that trend to continue, especially developing those areas, because that's actually what the market wants. What there's like the the need that the industry has. The reality, and I will say this very frankly, the reality is to start reducing cost, and certainly this AI is having that capacity to communicate, have the possibilities to start reducing headcounts, especially on work on jobs that add very little value. That is the reality of it. I mean, if I agree or disagree, that's a different matter, but that is the reality of it. These companies are profit. That's one of the the compromises of capitalism. You can want to say that you need to make companies that they need to be sustainable, and which I think is the right thing to do. And by making them sustainable, you need to keep your cost in check, and not only your cost in check, but also you need to keep the shareholders pleased. So you will see a big trend in job reductions, especially for works that are of very little added value, for people that have done your agile and your different belts and efficiency courses. You understand what it means to have a low value routine. So you will expect that, and that is already pretty much happening in the U.S. now. There's like a big trend. There's an emerging second wave of layoffs in the tech industry, but this one is different because I think the first one was primarily driven by the recession that was somewhat avoided, but the second one is not necessarily driven by recession. I think it's really driven by optimization and profit margins and widening profit margins. So you will expect that because the reality is that the AI codes better than any will code that better than any human, and only the people that have been able to adapt very quickly from like a coder to a designer of the code from let's say in the financial world, from a trader to what they call it a pilot, someone that is monitoring the activity, the trading activity of the bot, or like in risk management from a analyst to like a risk designer that understands the calculations that the bot is doing. That people actually will actually succeed, but those changes are not easy. Also because these changes are not they can be taught. AI is changing very rapidly, and is very difficult for corporations to actually come up with training plans for the staff to adapt. I think the people that will stay in companies are those ones that have that inquisitiveness and that curiosity to learn by themselves and adapt to this technology, to embrace it. So you will expect that, and I expect this to start branching out beyond uh, technology. I can see newspapers, I can see big pharma, I can see banks, I can see pretty much all industries. Even in the art industry, you will see the necessity, for example, to have like a less interns or less junior staff that are doing more repetitive, low value um, functions, and primarily in galleries, for example, to focus primarily on relationship and sales, and rely more on technology like AI, and or even outsourcing company that are doing something with AI to do all the press releases, and even the accounting, HR management, and so on is going to be managed that way, because the reality is that these technologies are extremely cost efficient. I mean, I can tell you, like, if you compare what it costs to maintain a staff for 1 year versus what it costs to maintain a board for 1 year, is just, you're talking at numbers of factors of 10, 20, 30 times cheaper. So that is actually what I see, and yeah, with Brushstroke, we are trying to we're trying no we are uh, trying to trying as in, I'm say trying as in expanding the market, because it's not easy, because a lot, when I talk to a lot of people, they find the idea of AI very abstract. You need to give them like a clear examples, and but we're trying to be with people and say like, look, I mean, your main concern right now, uh, besides profitability and margin, should be also start lowering your cost base, and what repetitive task you think you have that can be automated, from writing your press releases to analyzing your cost structure. AI can pretty much do anything like that, and you have one staff empowered with one bot, customized bot, uh, is far more efficient than a team of 5 people doing exactly the same thing. This bot will reply to you within seconds, whereas a team will get back to you within a week. The way that I see this technology is going to be primarily centralized in cloud computing, which I think the infrastructure is already set. So you have AWS, you have your Azures, you have your Googles, you have your Oracles. So that infrastructure is pretty much done. Uh, what you're going to see is a big revamp of inventories on the consumer hardware, and I expect that to start by the third quarter this year. And I think Apple is going to lead there somehow. I'm expecting. Apple has been very quiet, but I think they are onto something. And then as you have this hardware, consumers naturally are going to start demanding for more innovative ideas, novel ideas, and then you're going to have the third wave, where I can see the first AI god, that the AI becoming a full techno religion somehow. You're going to create technology and entities that are going to start questioning. Not only are going to, right now they are communicating very well with us, but now they're going to start redefining our belief system. So I still sense, when it comes to philosophy and the metamodern philosophers, what is written, they remain very skeptical. As in skeptic, I won't say the skeptic. They remain very defensive. That, I think that's the word, because I sense that they are equally afraid. My position is that I don't see the point of being afraid. This is extremely cost efficient. That this is going to be done. What my concern is that I think it needs to be done in a regulated way, and that concerns me a little bit, because the examples are becoming very clear what you can do, uh, both positively and negatively, with AI. AI is a technology that is all encompassing. You can do anything, because it's eventually people behind. So actually, that's an interesting thought. So one of the things that I'm realizing is that AI, as it is just an A plus B equals C type of formula, what you're being built, and what you're going to start hearing and sensing is a lot of confirmation bias. And this is something that I think is going to become very, very evident in the upcoming elections, especially in the United States, where, because cost efficiency. You have all these different campaigns using AI to to spread out their own narrative. So reconfirming those echo chambers, those confirmation biases. And this is something that, for example, that's one of the conclusions that I had when I did this exercise when confronting these two bots, because eventually I said like a bot A, you behave like this, and the bot was behaving like that, and he was like a very stubborn. And I do believe that willingly and unwillingly you're going to add those biases, those confirmation biases, and then that is going to have big repercussions. And I don't see regulators at the moment being not even concerned about that. That is actually the fact that concerns me a little bit. I think we're going to, in my call is for stringent regulation, not to limit, but to administer the design of these bots. The design of these bots needs to be quite well intentioned. I work with Microsoft, so I do see a lot of I won't say censorship, but a lot of restrictions, policy restrictions. That's how they call them. Within the bots, the things that you can talk and you cannot talk, and you get these flags. I get them, especially when I was doing my bots at one point. When I was setting it up, I didn't fine tune it as much, so I just only told them just go against each other, and at one point got quite quite heated, to a point that I got a warning from Microsoft because they're like, yeah, you should not be talking about this, and I'm like, wow, these things are quite powerful. And but yeah, I'm fully bullish. I think we need more regulation. But for example, on that exercise, one thing that I found very, very useful is, for example, in the field of research. I mean, I give you an example. Let's say you are a curator, you're putting a show for an exhibition, and then you have limited information. You can read, let's say, 3 books because you are limited on time. You can read 3 books in, let's say, 3 months or 6 months, the time that you have to prepare the exhibition, plus the other stuff that you have to do. But with AI now, you can read 200 books, yeah, and you read them in 5 minutes. You put them all in a vector, what we call it within the infrastructure, AI infrastructure. We build them in a vector database, and the AI reads them. And then you can have, like, for example, what I did, you can have 2 bots, one against each other, to start having a Socratic discussion about the information that you gave. And believe me, you're going to have these very interesting thoughts or perspectives that you never considered. And with the fact that you are bringing in far more material than before. So I do find quite interesting. I think you can transform that into a product, especially on the research areas. And I do see, for example, in the arts, that could be quite interesting, especially when people are writing exhibitions, to consider elements that are beyond the traditional or your default sources, to take that more a derivative approach and start considering new perspectives. And because AI can empower you that. Yesterday I was having a discussion of someone that was doing this research on like an infrastructure project, right? Like a public infrastructure project, and the person needed to do some validation. So I was telling the person that you can take like similar peer papers, load them into this vector database, and then you take your paper, the one that you're writing and preparing, loading into that vector database, and then ask the AI to compare both, and then give you new insights, and it will do it within 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and you're done. They give you this totally interesting approach. You can compare it with new histories, with past history, new and new developments. So yeah, I wanted to do this video to pretty much explain where we are, how things are, how I'm seeing things, and yeah, if you guys have any questions about AI, if you're curious enough to start experimenting with a solution, yeah, just give me a call or DM, and we can talk further. As I said, you can do anything right now. You can have like an assistant that can be your tour guide for an art fair, that will explain where to go and where to buy the tickets, how much it will cost. to someone that can analyze your artist, your ultra contemporary artist today, the compositions that he's doing compared to the most profitable uh, artist of the past 50 years, something like that. It's all about design. When it comes to AI, it's all about design. It's not about production. You leave the production to the machines. Now you need to start thinking about it like a designer. So yeah, so if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to message me. Otherwise, just keep listening to my little rants, and then and we continue the conversation. Okay, see you. Bye.